Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Time to rock and roll.
Well, you are the
I
rock
know,
and crocheter.
yeah, but I have the most famous spider. Yes, the most famous spider on
No,
YouTube.
no, no.
Besides the one with the red outfit.
Well, I was going to say, okay, you have what is his name anyway?
Which one?
Well, Toby Maguire, his like character name.
Us. I mean, it's Spider Man.
Well, no, 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 no. I mean like his like human name, not his alter ego.
Ah, yeah. Isn't it like Toby Maguire?
Well, no, no, that's the actor. I mean, no, I mean, okay, Spider-Man's real human name. Uh, what's his name? Parker? Is it Peter Parker?
Peter Parker.
Okay. So no, like, Peter Parker, he's definitely more up there. Lucas the Spider, he's even more so than me.
Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas. It's this little animated jumping spider. Oh, he's so cute. He puts me to shame. He puts me to shame. He's got these big, big eyes and these little fuzzy legs and everything. I just got a fuzzy chin. That's all I got going for me. But I thank you for having me. I hope
Oh,
everybody is doing
it's
okay out there in TV land.
it's my pleasure to have you on.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
and everybody, I will tell you this, and and Craig will get a little humble. Um, Craig is one of my influences, and one of my he watching him doing the crochet his tutorials and stuff was part of getting was he was part of the ones that got me to start crocheting.
Oh,
So it's an honor to have you. It's an honor to have you on our channel.
well, likewise, because it's an honor to, you know, converse and hang out with people, that we're all in the same biz. We're in the same boat, we're all doing our thing. And if seriously, if I can impart what I know to help somebody else do what they do, then I'm doing my job, and it's very gratifying. It's like when an elementary school teacher is approached by a college graduate, and it's like, yeah, you taught me how to do X, Y, and Z kind of thing. It's like it's validation and it feels good. So thank you, and you're welcome simultaneously. If
I
that's a
mean,
if that's
I
a fair
can.
way of putting it.
I mean, I can even point
That's
to.
looking really nice. That's looking very nice.
It's just taking quite a while because it's a sport weight yarn, so it's like it's taking forever with this thing.
No, I get
But
it.
it's
I
coming,
get
it's
it.
coming out good.
I mean, I totally understand because I mean, I'm doing a Granny Square blanket. It was the yarn that was sent to me from Aberdeen's. The pickle jar yarn.
Oh, right
All
on.
those. I mean, I
All
ball all of
those
it
little
first,
the
but
ones
the
that
mini hanks. Pardon?
yeah, the ones like Russ had.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I've just been working on, you know, itty bitty little 3 round granny squares using a size 4 millimeter crochet hook because it's like sock weight yarn. And I mean, I love the colors, and I mean, it's superwash merino. So, I mean, how can you go wrong with that? Um,
Exactly.
and so, but the thing is that each square, it's itty bitty. So,
Yeah.
if ever, sorry?
Yeah, I learned that lesson working on that shawl. It's like, oh dang. It's just
Hmm.
like, I got because I've made a couple of the virus shawls and a virus granny shawl. And I started on this one, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, this isn't even a halfway of where I'd be normally. Oh no.
Well, but
It's it's
the
worth it.
neat
It's for my godmother.
Well, then it's definitely worth it. But I mean, the nice thing about the virus pattern, though, um, is it's like what, a 3-4 row repeat,
Yeah.
something like that, thereabouts. I want to say it's like a 3-row repeat or so ish. Um, so, and you're working mostly into stitch spaces, not into actual stitches. So that helps facilitate it more.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like the granny so much, because you're working into the spaces, not into the actual stitches. So, and also I can pretty much go completely on autopilot with this. So, and like so many of us, I can't, I have to keep my hands busy. I have
Mhm.
like this nervous energy condition thing. I mean, I can totally pay attention to what's going on around me, but I have to keep my hands busy.
Yeah.
So I'm not, I don't think I'm being rude, but please don't mistake me for what I'm doing as being rude, because it's just
Oh
this like,
no.
like this just itch. It's an
Oh,
itch.
oh no, we're good.
Um,
Because and Rebecca will tell you the only thing that calms me down is caffeine.
I'm pretty much in that boat too. I mean, I love my coffee, my tea. I have been drinking soda again lately, but not nearly as much as I used to. It used to be like, maybe like 4 cans, ish a day, plus my usual coffee. But, now it's definitely more tea.
I was
Yes.
drinking. I drink a lot of like green tea, but in the
Have you
morning
tried matcha?
I'm a good yeah.
Love matcha.
But on the way to work in the morning, it's all about the Cafe Bustelo.
I've heard of it. I haven't tried it.
Yeah.
Um, is it like rocket fuel?
Yes. Yes, it is. It's really strong, but it's really smooth.
Okay. Well, then, have you tried the civet coffee?
Uh-uh.
Uh, well, that's just, well, civet is an animal. Um,
I know which one you're talking about, and
okay.
no,
You haven't tried it?
no.
Oh, you should. You should. Now, I mean, I
Have
use
you
it's an.
tried it?
Oh yeah, I
You
have some in
tried the
my cupboard
monkey
right now.
coffee?
What?
You tried the monkey coffee? They're not monkeys.
No, they're jungle cats. They're civets.
And they eat the seed,
They eat the berries and then
and
they excrete the the
and
the,
then
the
take the
coffee bean.
berries, and that's what it was. It wasn't a monkey.
Right. It was a jungle cat. They're cute, and so they eat the berries and then they excrete the coffee
The
bean,
bean.
and then that is then processed. It's the beans are cleaned, they're roasted, like they there's no hint of civet poop on them. um it doesn't taste crappy. No, no, no. um and the thing is, the reason why the coffee is so popular and it's more expensive than a lot of other brands is because it has to undergo that process.
Process.
And unfortunately, there are some manufacturers that they have these civets in very, very close captivity, sort of like how they treat young lambs for making veal
For
or goose
veal.
liver pate. And some manufacturers, they do inhumanely treat the civets um,
Ooh.
in the process. Otherwise, there are others where it is more humane. And the reason why it's so expensive is because since it went through the digestive tract of the civet, the taste is more mellow, less bitter. Um, and I mean, the caffeine is there, but it's a much more smooth, less bitter coffee type experience. It's awesome. Now, the brand that I use, it's an instant coffee. So it's not like the actual bean or ground beans. No, it's an instant coffee. It's called white coffee with a K. And it already has like a little bit of sweetener and creamer in it. I found it off of Amazon. It's really reasonably priced for what you're getting. You just add hot water and oh, it's got a kick. Yeah, it has a kick. Just add one of those little packets, a little bit of water, and boom, you're good. And it's it's some potent stuff, as
And it's
far as
called
the
white
caffeine.
coffee
White
with a
coffee
K.
with a K. Um, and I've used that a bunch of times.
It's white coffee with a K.
Yeah, and
Hi,
it's an
Craig.
instant.
I was telling Rebecca because she normally jots down stuff.
And whatchamacallit? I mean, there's a couple of different variations. Now, if you were to get like the coffee beans, oh, be prepared to set up a second mortgage.
Yeah,
Um,
I heard that stuff was like I heard what it was, and I heard it was really expensive, but
yeah,
I
yeah.
never
I mean,
looked into it.
if you're going for the coffee beans in their like, you know, whole form, oh, it's expensive. I mean, you're talking like hundreds of dollars. But if it's, like instant, it's way, way cheaper by quite a bit. So like when I want a treat and a caffeine pick me up, oh, it's awesome. And yeah, it's very smooth. And I would say I get less of the caffeine jitters from it. I mean, I got the buzz, but less of the jitters.
Because I don't the like any kind of caffeine drink works opposite on me.
Okay.
Because when I drink coffee, I don't get all amped up in the jitters. I focus more.
I definitely get like the shaky shakes, but I
Oh
I like
God.
I like the buzz. There are two actually, if you haven't heard of them. One of them it's called Biohazard. Um, that one it's potent and it does give me the shaky shakes. And there's another one it's called Death Wish. Um,
Yes, I saw that, and Rebecca won't let me get it.
for good reason. For good reason. She wants to keep you around.
Exactly.
I mean, it's very, very potent, and that one I'll have rarely, for good reason. But the white coffee, I really do like it though.
The one that is it's bomb is um Rebecca has family members that go to Cuba every now and again. And
They did.
and they brought us back some Cuban coffee.
Uh-huh.
Whoo, there's a reason why they drink it in those little tiny cups. Talk about jet fuel.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's cool.
And
So,
it's really good stuff. It's really smooth, and it's really actually kind of mellow, but the stuff is jet fuel.
well, one of the things that I've been rather enjoying is uh, chai masala.
Oh, yeah, that's another one. I like chai masala.
I mean, I kind of wing it because to get cardamom pods and cinnamon sticks and cloves and ginger and like all these things, it's like, you sort of like, heat them up in your pan for a bit. And then when it starts becoming aromatic, then you dump in some water and some tea leaves and some sugar and some milk, and you bring that up to heat. I kind of take the cheating way out just a little bit. Um, my method is it's sort of like a hello,
Scoot over. I
hi,
won't bite.
unless you ask him to. Um, but so what I do is I just use like the ground spices. So yeah, there's like a little bit of this and that and the other. And I so I'll do in its powdered form, I just add that to my cup, like maybe about a teaspoon, and then brew a black tea bag, add some sugar and some half and half, and I call it my own rendition of like a chai masala.
If you look on Amazon, I think they have it. If not, an Indian store will have it.
Oh, they have some
It's
really
called
nice packages.
Tea India, and they actually have it already with the milk and everything, and you just add what? Oh, it's really
It's a little
good.
powdered package,
It's a little
and
powdered
it's
packet,
got
and it's
all the herbs and spices in it.
I
Yeah.
do have, it's like an instant thing, where you
Yeah.
just add hot water. And I mean, yeah, it tastes good, but um, if
Well,
ever I'm, feeling,
It's
you
really
know,
good. It's not bad at all.
and they
if
also
I'm
have
planning on
they
like
also
treating
have
myself, I'll get
the
like the actual cardamom pods and the cinnamon
We'll
sticks.
have
But
to send you a couple of boxes.
the only thing though that like I'm not a fan of, like I've
Okay.
seen so many versions of the recipe.
Mhm.
The only thing I'm not a fan of is the star anise or anise because I
oh,
it's
Okay,
that
we'll
I
check.
love anise.
We'll check
that
and
that
see if
black
you have
licorice
some.
flavor. I mean, I like red licorice. I mean, yes,
Mhm.
it's like, red licorice is like plastic.
That's
Um,
it. Too
I
easy.
can't remember the brands that I get from Amazon. The powdered stuff. I
Oh
want to
no,
say it's
this
like a
is
chai latte.
this one is a chai latte. There's a chai latte,
Yeah, there's all
but
different kinds.
the one that I just showed you is the actual tea.
Mhm.
Like
Mm,
it's a tea bag with all the stuff mixed up.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, because I mean, I'm always trying to expand my repertoire of things. Um, I was just telling Matt a short bit ago how last night I was making onigiri, and I did a video, and that's going to be up this week. I mean, it's
Right
so
on.
easy. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm good at making it because I have a mold for compacting it into the triangular shape, because
Yeah.
I've tried doing it by hand and the rice will just it loves to adhere to me. It is sticky as all get out, that white rice. Um, but it's really tasty, it's really easy, it's reasonably healthy. I mean, the only thing that's like not healthy in it is the mayonnaise, and you don't even use that much. Um, but I like it.
We're
I've
actually
always
lucky. I'm sorry, Craig.
Go
God,
ahead.
God.
We're actually pretty lucky around our area because we have like Indian markets, we have Latin markets, we have a Japanese market,
I
we
wish.
we have
Mhm.
like all of this stuff like available around us. So we sometimes we'll get a sometimes we'll have like soba noodles like
Mm,
in the summer, like the cold noodles, and we'll get this stuff from the Japanese store. We'll go to the Asian markets and get stuff. We'll go to the Indian markets. So I think we're pretty lucky as
Mhm.
far as that goes of having all this stuff around us,
well,
which is really cool.
there is a grocery store not that far from me. They do have sort of a focus on Hispanic and Asian foods. Like they have like an entire bay just of ramen, all these different kinds of ramen. My favorite is the kimchi ramen.
Yes.
It's got a nice kick to it. And they also do actually sell kimchi there, but it is so expensive at that
Really?
store. So there's another Chinese Asian market, but it's like a good half hour away, which for me, I'm a Mr. Homebody kind of person. Um, I don't travel well, but if I really want to get it, I'm gonna get it from there. And that store has been in business since I was an itty bitty little spider. I remember going there when I was really, really little, and my dad fancied himself, a chef of all trades, and we had
There
this
you go.
huge wok, and which I do remember once there was a grease fire. That was fun. Um,
It's always a good time.
yeah, yeah. Fortunately, he had the presence of mind and he just put a lid on top of it. So, no harm, no foul. But I remember we would go there, and my brother and we would always end up with Chinese yo-yos, is what we called them. It was a stick with a long coil of paper wrapped around it, and you would flick the stick, and the
And it
the
goes,
the paper would like shoot out and then it would come back in, and we call them Chinese yo-yos. I don't know if that's the actual term for them, but that's what we call them.
No,
And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, you know, I mean, it's better than those tubes where you turn them upside down. Wow, 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 wow. You know, at least what I got was a silent thing. You know, um, but yeah, they're still in business. I mean, it's tiny. It's in a strip mall. You would miss it if you didn't know it was there. The aisles are so narrow that you can't get two carts next to each other through the aisle. It's really a small place, but they have awesome stuffs there. They have a lot of really awesome stuffs there.
That's like a Japanese. That's like the Japanese restaurant. It's actually what, maybe 3, 4 blocks away. No,
Yes. Yes. Not even
1, 2,
like a half a
3.
mile away.
Yeah, maybe a half a mile away.
Less than half a mile away.
And
I'm
it's
jealous.
the same. It's the same kind of store. It's a small little place, but they actually have. You can get like rice cakes. You
Oh,
can get like, I got pickled daikon, which I love. Kimchi. Um, I mean, you name it,
Daikon
they have it.
kimchi.
They even have
Oh,
like fresh sushi, like sashimi.
hmm
Like you can buy like a piece of salmon or a piece of tuna, or like they have like all of that stuff. It's
See, I
so
was
cool.
telling my mom today about kimchi, and I told her, I'm like, it's a really good thing that I'm not more ambitious because I would want to make my own kimchi. And she's like, well, what is it? I'm like, well, it's spiced and fermented cabbage. And she's like, she just had this like face on. And I'm like, yeah, and you have to like let it sit for a couple of days. And she's just like, oh, I'm like, yeah, either people love it or they hate it, and something
Yeah.
tells me that you would not be a fan of it. So I'm like, it's a good thing that I'm not like really
Well,
ambitious because
the fish sauce that they put in it would probably throw her over the edge,
yeah,
because
um,
that's part of the stinky part.
yeah, no, I like it, you know. Um, but well, I think we talked about this before. There were these cakes that they had there, and one of my friends, she bought some, and we tried them in the car. We had to roll those windows down. It was that stinky fruit.
Durian.
durian.
Thank you. Yes, it was a durian fruit, sort of like cream type stuff inside of the cake.
Mhm. Smells
Ew.
like feet. Smells like
It
stinky
smells like
feet.
socks and onions.
Yeah.
Like,
It was like if a locker room died,
Yeah.
you know, like the
exactly.
corpse of a locker room that's been
Exactly.
disused. It was
But
just, oh, it was so bad, but it tasted good, but the
right,
stank.
Oh
right.
yeah, they're horrible.
But if you ever try it in a dessert, you would not even know. It's delicious.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Because
very tasty.
it doesn't have that smell.
It doesn't have that stink into it.
But like if you walk into the Asian markets here, you can tell when it's in season,
Oh no.
because when you walk into the Asian markets, they'll have like, you know, 5, 10 of these things piled up, and
Oh no.
it's like, wee,
Getting
ooh,
ready for
Not all
bio
things.
warfare. It's like,
that's what the durian is.
That's
yeah.
if you're overseas and
No, here they'll have it.
some places. Um, let me ask you a question, if you don't
Yes.
mind.
No,
Um,
go ahead. If I mind,
how
I'll just plead the fifth. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's ask. How did you start knitting and crocheting? What was your inspiration?
It's kind of a funny story.
Mhm.
I don't know if any of you have heard this one before, but well, oh gosh, I want to say I was maybe about 21-ish, thereabouts. Um, and I was watching a reality TV show of all things
Ah,
on PBS. It was called 1940s House, and they took a modern day family with a wife, sorry, mother, her two sons, her parents. So you had this extended family situation, and
mhm.
they put them into 1940s England. And the
Oh.
whole house was refitted as it would have been in the 1940s.
Mhm,
And so they had to black out the windows at night,
mhm,
and they had to build a bomb shelter in their backyard, a little air raid shelter. And they had a
Oh,
speaker in their house that would
mhm,
simulate the air raid sirens going off. And then there was the all clear that they had to wait for. They'd also have the sounds of the bombs being dropped. They were
yes.
getting shell shocked as a result of it, and they weren't getting any sleep. And they had to deal with the food rations
Mhm,
and,
oh my,
living as they did back then. And these people were generally, I would say, not domestic. But they tried. They tried and they thrived and they got through it. It's like maybe 6 weeks of this thereabouts,
mhm,
and they hit some bumpy patches, yes, but they got along nice. They persevered, and a big part of what they were doing was it was all about helping out the war effort as they did in the 1940s. And
yeah,
so there was a lot of volunteer work that they did. And at one point, I saw that one of them, she was working on some knitting, and they were working on like making granny squares. And I'm like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. Because they were like really, like, in their own words, they were really inept at a lot of very domestic type things. But I'm like, oh, if they can do it, I want to do it too. And they were visited by a woman. They were visited by a woman who was like part of like an organization of young ladies at the time that were all about helping out the war effort. And she visited them and she showed them like a pair of gloves that she made by hand and a bag that she had made by hand. And they were getting tips from her about mending and darning and sewing and so forth. And I'm like, there you go. And I was totally intrigued. And that actually was kind of my jumping off point. I know, long protracted story, I
I
oh
know.
no,
love
but
it.
But
that's cool.
That's my kind of story.
well, thank you.
I love
It's
it.
like it's a segue with segues, I know, but
I
that's actually what got me interested and started in the first place.
mhm.
And this was, oh wow, this was a long time ago. I mean,
And
YouTube was in its infancy, so it really wasn't so much of a an outlet back then. So it was like a lot of books,
it
a
gave you
lot of trial and error. Pardon?
it was quite an impression on you being 21 years old and
Mm,
seeing a movie that was about those years in 1940 and having preparation for those times that you wanted to learn.
mm.
It was quite an impression for you.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I've always been crafty in one way or another. But as far as specifically crocheting and knitting,
mhm,
it really wasn't something that I had dabbled into prior to that. And I don't know, it just kind of clicked. The
mhm.
closest to that before that I had been when I was in elementary school. Do you remember when like it was like 1980s ish friendship bracelets were like really
Yeah,
popular, made with the embroidery floss, and you would like
Yes.
have them knotted at the top on a clipboard or something, and you'd like do like a knot and then pull up another knot and then pull up another
mhm.
knot.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
yes.
made those like gangbusters. I made tons and tons of those when I was a kid. And that was, again, that sort of mindless slash mindful repetition that I could just get into.
Mhm.
And, I don't know. It just, it clicked, if you will.
You like
Um,
doing things with your hands, and you like the yarn.
mhm.
You loved it. Who do you like to watch on? I mean, other than I mean, I shouldn't just leave it like that. But who do you like to watch on the YouTube streets?
Actually,
For
I don't.
you do not.
Really?
That's interesting.
Once you're
No,
off,
Hmm.
there's a reason, actually. Well, the thing is, um, before I started actually YouTubing myself,
Hmm.
I would watch Mikey from the Crochet Crowd, or
Yes.
Very Pink Knits, or
Yes.
Jada in Stitches.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, Jada in Stitches, she reminds me, and I'm saying this in a very complimentary way, she reminds me of like a happy little elf. It's her giggle. She's very sprightly, and I found that was very endearing, and it was very cute. But also she was very informative as well. It wasn't just like a human version of Hello Kitty. Um, you know, um, and so I would watch her, and I'm trying to think of a couple of others that I might have watched. I mean, Mikey was definitely somebody that
Mhm.
I did used to watch a lot. I'll watch a lot, excuse me. Um, and then over time, I stopped watching crochet YouTubers by and large for the most part because I didn't want to inadvertently get inspiration from another content creator and thereby be influenced or
Yeah.
perhaps thought
Mhm.
of that I was stealing their work or their ideas or
Mhm.
anything like that. So I
Mhm.
try to find my own inspiration just
Mhm.
out and about
Mhm.
and on my own terms, as opposed to you know looking at what other people are doing. Now, as far as like a specific stitch or a specific technique,
Mhm.
then I will research and I will hunt around and I will look and see what is out there on the YouTube streets. But as far as like designs and patterns for, garments or blankets or stuff like that, I try to keep that on my own terms.
You're
There you
very
go.
that's what I do. I like to look for just stitches, and I actually buy stitch books and research stitches.
Yeah, the
Um,
Mhm.
last I know that for her, the last few blankets that she's made have all been like she's come up with the stitches. Like she looks at her like stitch book and she'll like something and she puts it together.
And then
Now,
if you can like figure out how to like do increasing and decreasing with those
mhm,
stitches, then you're golden. If you can figure that out, you can turn any stitch done flat into any sort of shape. It's just math. Ah, math. Gotta love math. Um, right? Um, but the thing is that as much as I don't like math with a passion, it was always my worst subject in school. I was more about the English aspect of school than the
mhm,
science math aspect. As far as multiples and things that are divisible by what and such and so forth,
mhm,
that makes sense to me. You
yeah,
know, um, like when I was doing this hat, typically I like a circumference of about 72 stitches because it's divisible by so many other numbers. And
yes,
so it works out with a lot of other different stitches and patterns and things that like 72 is perfect, divisible by 12, 6, 8, 9, 4, 3, 2. It's like you can do a lot with it, you know, and it fits, at least it does for me. Um, but yeah, math and I, we don't get along.
Yeah, neither does Panda with math because it says math makes pandas cry.
um, we do. Matt and I are pretty much the same. We started out watching Mikey and Bod and the Secret Yarnery,
Mm.
and uh, those are some of the. And what was the knitting lady you used to watch a
Oh,
little?
the knitting the I like she's the where I actually learned to knit and it just the way she taught made sense was so woolly.
Okay, the name does ring a bell. Yeah, I mean, also like
And
I
she
I knit with
and
cat fur is another good one.
Yeah, and
Um,
Nick and Andrew and Nick and the Urban Farm Boys. Every now and then we watch, but we just like to watch and every now and then to see what they're up to. Um,
well, there
uh,
actually there are a couple
they're
of
fairly
others
new
with the
for us.
knitters though.
Mhm.
with the knitters. Nimble Needles, he's really good.
Yeah.
I believe that's what his name is, Nimble Needles. It's
Oh,
either
no.
Nimble Needles or Nimble Knitter.
Yeah.
He's really
I
good.
want to say I've seen him, and I like Fiber Hustle.
Yeah.
Don't
Fiber
know that one.
Hubs.
Also, Arnie and Carlos. They're adorable.
Arnie and Carlos.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Arnie and Carlos. Yes. We watch them every
Arnie
once in
and
a while.
Carlos.
You'll remember when I put them on.
they're
And
adorable.
yeah.
Seriously.
They do a lot of weird projects that are they do also they do blankets, regular blankets, not crochet, but quilts. Don't
Okay.
they do quilts?
Or, oh, how about Stephen West?
Stephen West, yes, that's another one that I have on here. Stephen West. The other one that we watch every now and then, it's her name is Erin B. She crochets. She crochets off the fly. She's creative. She does outfits and all types of sweaters and scarves. She's pretty sharp. Of course, we watch MDL.
Well, I mean, if you ever need any sort of like Tunisian anything, like
Yeah,
he's the dude.
Mike's
He's
got it.
he's
Michael's
he
got it.
is the Tunisian dude.
We're
You
pretty
know?
impressed of how he has brought Tunisian to another level
Yeah.
in creating his new stitches.
Because he's got some beautiful. He's
Got
done some beautiful stuff.
some nice blankets.
Yes, he has. And it's nice. I mean, the thing is that a lot of people are intimidated by anything other than just crochet. If it's Tunisian, they're like, oh, but it's like you're holding all the stitches, or if it's knitting, but I prefer crochet. I mean, the thing is that I'm so glad though that he is doing what he's doing, and I would say he's popularizing it. And I think that's great.
And another big thing with Michael is watching him. His voice is actually kind of soothing. He has like a really like smooth, kind of soothing voice.
He's got like a radio voice where it's mellow, and he's and it's a teachable voice as well.
Well, see, he's radio. I'm more infomercial. I'm much more QVC, whereas he's more like Norman Rockwell.
No, you have this vintage type voice to me. Because
so you're saying I'm old? Thanks a bunch.
Not that, not in that. Not no. What I mean by that is you have that characteristic, which is hard to find. It is very hard to find. You're young, but you have that characteristic.
I'm gonna be 46 in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Not young. I am no spring chicken.
You're the youngster.
I am not a spring chicken.
No,
you're not a spring chicken, but you're not an old rooster like I am.
And the reason why I say that, you like to do those old readings. You like to do the old games that you play on, and you like to also do some of the poems that you. So none of those are, something that is current.
Yeah, but those are all public.
Public
domain.
I know.
It's a safety thing, because I mean, I think that they're interesting. I'm sorry to cut you off. I think that they're interesting, but also because, yes, a large part of it though is that, they were written a long time ago, so they're public domain, therefore they are safe. Because I mean, there are so many books that I would love to read. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. Like Fahrenheit 451, or The Lord of the Rings, or The Catcher in the Rye.
Those haven't hit that mark yet.
No.
Like if I live that long, then yes, I would love to do those. But otherwise I will get smacked with a copyright. I'll get smacked with the copyright, and I don't want to deal with that.
No,
Um,
no.
so that's why I do the stuff that is more of the classic canon, so that I don't have to worry about that. And
Mhm,
I like doing those because I mean, I've always been into reading and so forth, and it's, a kind of video where I don't have to think. I can
mhm,
just do.
Yeah.
Um,
mhm.
and trust me, there are plenty of times where I have to retake and retake and retake because I flub, or I sneeze, or whatever the thing is. I like something that would take me like 5 minutes. It takes me like 20, because I have to keep retaking, retaking, retaking. You say, take 5, take 10, take 35.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also
Also,
because some of
Twice. Yeah, the same way.
you'll see some on some of our videos. It's like the Rock and Crocheter. Take 25.
Like, oh,
because
I'm
also some of the
recording.
verbiage is very antiquated, so it's difficult for me to be like, okay, why are they saying it this way? Granted, yeah, that's how they said it X number of years ago, but it's like, just say you went up the hill. You don't have to say, I betook myself up the plunderous steps and to the vanquished knight of, like, shut up, you went up the hill, dude.
And it's funny because they used they used very flowery vocabulary, and we don't. Like
Mhm.
we like tend to be like right to the point kind of thing. And
And
it's
well,
a
over the years, the
very
varnish has
different.
been worn off of the English language.
Yes.
Well, I mean, right
It's
now I was just reading some of this last night, the Fables of Fontaine, um, and I mean, they're great, and they're very poetic and beautiful. But I mean, some of the language, it's like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Um, no, it's true.
Yeah, but that's what made him great at the time. I mean, for that use of that language.
Like one of them,
who's the
I
writer?
oh, La Fontaine.
La Fontaine?
Yeah,
Complete
yeah,
Fables.
it's Jean de La Fontaine. Yeah, and translated by Norman R. Shapiro. And so, the fox and the stork. One day, Renard the fox, good fellow he, extends his hospitality to goodwife Stork, inviting her to dinner. Scant is the fare, no spendthrift sinner, this fox of ours, only a thinnish gruel, thinner than thin, served in a shallow dish. Long as she is of bill, dear though her wish to sup, the stork gives up, gulled by his cruel and crafty hoax. Renard thereat laps, guzzles, gulps it down with ease, but later the joke's on him. She gives him tit for tat, inviting him in turn. Our witful traitor, quick to accept, replies, Merci beaucoup, away, madame, with false pretense. No need for tra-la-la with friends like you. And so come Eve, fast to her residence he flies, arrives, flatters her gracious air, spies the repast, sniffles its scents, ogles the chunks of meat, minced fine spread there before his hungering eyes, delights in one of those uncommon appetites, common to foxes. Ah, but lo, Stork serves them in a long vase, narrow-necked. Her thin, sharp beak fits snugly in, but oh, our hero's snout is, as you might suspect, quite the wrong shape and size. So eating crow, like fox outwitted by the chicken coop, shamefaced, abject, ears all a-droop,
Our
tail
courage
tucked,
to be
tail tucked between the bleh, see, tail tucked betwixt his legs. Home will he go, outdone, unfed, outfoxed indeed. Tricksters, you could be next. Here, take the heed.
That is wonderful.
It's very
Thank you.
cool. But it's like
No, I like it. He gets a little more. I like it.
It's tricky to get through, especially because, like, I only flubbed once,
You did
and
good.
when I was doing the recording, it's like, okay, take again.
It's
Take a
quite,
guess.
it's quite intense.
Oh no, you did it
Absolutely.
really smooth. I mean,
Well, that's because I practiced it like 30 times last night. I was doing my recording, but you get the idea.
Excellent.
It's got a very flowery nature to it, and it's doing a fable, but also it's doing it in a rhyme scheme of sorts. And I've done Aesop's fables before, and I love those.
Yes.
yeah,
Absolutely love them
Yes.
because they're like bite-sized snippets of common sense and morality mixed with a bit of whimsy.
yeah.
So I like them.
I remember I'm just gonna unclass this a whole bit. I remember watching Aesop's Fables on Bullwinkle. Ah, ah.
That's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, but there's the regular Aesop's Fable.
That's fine. Does it look like I'm
However,
judging?
that's right. However, you are introduced to them, as long as you can remember how you
Well, I
Well,
mean, it's different because I don't think in school they read the same books that we read
mhm,
because we had to read like Plato, we had to read Socrates, we
mhm,
had to read,
mhm.
there was stuff like that we had to read. The Scarlet Letter, Tale of Two
Nathaniel
Yes,
Hawthorne,
Cities.
yes,
yeah.
yes,
Scarlet Letter or A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen, which when you're a young teenager reading that, whew, it doesn't
Yeah,
it doesn't resonate, so it doesn't make
no,
sense that they would make that a required reading in high school.
especially
Okay.
at that age.
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
remember I was in ninth grade when we were reading Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, we were the age of the characters, but
Mhm.
we couldn't understand the context whatsoever. It was lost on us. The
And
language barrier alone, you know.
yeah, the language. I mean, I love Shakespeare, but the language it's rough sometimes.
I will
Like,
say this though. I mean, they've done a lot of different adaptations, but the adaptation with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes of Romeo and Juliet, I thought was really good. It modernized it very nicely because they kept the language, but they put it in modern day so you could get the context better. There was only one gripe that I had with that adaptation, just one complaint, and it was the very, very end. Now, we all know how it ends, where, there's the poison and the daggers and so on and so forth.
yeah,
Mhm,
And the thing is that, so she's heartbroken, right?
mhm.
So in the play, she stabs herself in the chest because she's heartbroken. In the
yeah.
movie, she shoots herself.
That
She's
takes the
not,
whole.
That takes everything away
That
from
takes
it,
the whole
right? Because
thing.
it's
because
not.
instead of knives, they
That's
had guns. So she shoots herself. Sorry, I don't,
mhm,
you know.
right.
Um, but
Mike just said you spoil it.
the thing is that she by doing that, I mean, she's not wounded in the head, she's wounded in the heart.
Mhm.
That's the
Yeah,
whole symbolism of it,
That's the
so that was
symbolism.
the only real issue that I had with that particular adaptation, where the symbolism was subverted,
what was
and that
Mhm.
that I disagreed with.
Well,
However, there
Panda
was a
says
really
that
cool one.
adaptation was my favorite.
I'm sorry, which one?
Panda, that adaptation was his favorite.
adaptation was his favorite?
It was good stuff. I mean, there was
That was-
another one. It was Midsummer Night's Dream with Rupert Everett and Kevin Kline. Midsummer Night's Dream with that cast. Oh, it was delightful.
Kevin
and there was
Kline is
one
a
with there
good
was one with
actor.
Anthony Hopkins, wasn't there?
I don't know.
Mhm.
That I don't know.
Or was it
Um,
Denzel? There was one of them. It was one of the
well, no,
two, and they were
no, Denzel was in Much Ado About Nothing, I think.
Not-
yeah.
Yeah, and also I think Kenneth Branagh was in that as well. But Midsummer Night's Dream, though, I've always had a total thing for Puck and Oberon and the troops of fairies playing wicked games on mortals. I just thought that was such a delicious premise, and that adaptation I thought was really good. When I was in high school, it was a sort of like a 60s adaptation of Midsummer Night's Dream. And so at the very beginning of the play, it opened up with the song Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And there were these giant mushrooms and flowers on the stage. And it was very trippy and psychedelic. And the Titania's fairies were hippies and Oberons were punks. And it was every time Puck was using that magic love flower, the song Love Potion number 9 came on.
Oh, jeez.
It was a pip and a trip. You know, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the two that I was right. Anthony Hopkins had done 2 of them.
Which and which?
King Lear and Titus.
Okay. Yeah, I remember the cover art image of Titus. It was like he was covered in like blue something. Blue something.
I know we saw the King Lear one.
I mean, I know that Richard Burton was very big.
Oh, yes.
But I never saw him do anything Shakespeare other than Taming of the Shrew. That's the only thing of his that I saw as far as Shakespeare goes. However, if you like Richard Burton, 2 of my favorites of his were Night of the Iguana and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Oh, I remember that movie. My mom liked that movie.
That was good. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is just such a psychological mind F. The psychological warfare employed in that play, it was really good. That was Edward Albee, whereas Night of the Iguana, that was Tennessee Williams, I think. I was very, very big on reading plays back when I was in college.
Because I remember I got
well, he did Hamlet.
Anthony Hopkins did Hamlet?
No.
Richard Burton?
He did Hamlet and Cleopatra.
Well, the thing is, I mean, those were like when they were both in their heyday, but like when they were pretty much, drained and spent, that's when they did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and it fit. It fit like a glove, It's just like they're worn out, they're tired, and they're angry, and the alcohol has done its damage. And when they did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, it was just like that was like their opus, if you will. It was really good. If you haven't seen it,
you just got a very nice compliment. It's fluffy quilting. A conversation with Craig is like being in a room of encyclopedias and having somebody. It just went.
Having encyclopedias and
I just lost it. And having someone read the cool parts to you.
Well, thank you. It's funny because actually when I was in elementary school, I mean, I was very big. Conversation with Craig is like being in a room of encyclopedias and having someone read the cool parts to you. Oh, thank you. I was always very big on reading and learning new words and stuff like that when I was a kid. Still am. And because of that, I was called like the walking dictionary when I was a kid. But being smart in the 1980s as a child was not something that you wanted to be known for. It was like, oh, you've got a really big kick me sign on your back,
You were the big nerd.
Yeah. But the irony is that like right now being a nerd is actually a favorable trait, but back then it was the kiss of death. It was like wearing a big red letter N, you are to be shunned, despised, etc. But yeah, being a geek now, it's like, no, you're an asset. Back then, it's like, no, you are an outcast.
Well, the geeks actually run the world. I mean, like they were talking about, like with Star Trek.
Thank you, Michael.
This is kind of for you, MDL, for Michael. I know with Star Trek, Star Trek influenced like a lot of things we actually use now, because it like the communicators,
Hmm.
they can trace that back like where our cell phones came from, like to that idea of that like boop boop, beam
Well, I
me
mean,
up.
even uh, Fahrenheit 451,
Mhm.
Ray Bradbury was
Yeah,
Mhm.
such a genius, because in that book alone, he foresaw huge wall screen TVs, and also Bluetooth as well. He referred to it as like a small seashell or a
Mhm.
beetle inside of his ear, telling him what to do. And so he kind of foresaw Bluetooth as well, and also those robot dogs. The hounds. Yeah, those things are terrifying. Have you seen them? It's like they don't have a head. It's just like a body and legs, and they're really, 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 really creepy.
yeah,
Um,
Mhm.
and those are terrifying. They use them as land-based drones as opposed to the flying kind. They're
Mhm.
scary.
Yeah.
Like they send them into buildings. If they're looking for somebody, just the way that they move. There's something like spider-like about them, but like not in a good way. Um, and But yeah, Bradbury, genius. He foresaw a lot, unfortunately.
Lynn Muesca was saying that we didn't have television growing up or access public libraries, so we used the World Book Encyclopedia to go to bed with. And that's not uncommon that back then, there wasn't a lot of TV channels to look at.
It's very
Uh,
true.
so you had to look at your books.
I mean, I remember being, like in school and stuff,
Mhm.
and and having to go to encyclopedias for information for
Mhm.
like reports and stuff,
Hmm.
like having to actually look up like information, going into the library and using
The
that
card
Yeah,
card
catalogs.
file and
Yeah.
having to go find the book.
you have
Well, the
to.
It's like,
irony is that my library, we have a card catalog, but it's an
Mhm.
antique. It's empty. It's not actually used, but it's there for posterity.
Mhm.
oh man,
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't even think we have encyclopedias anymore because as soon as you get them, they're out of date,
they're out of date.
Mhm.
the information changes so rapidly that
Mhm.
it doesn't behoove us to have those anymore, really.
No.
But I don't know. I kind of wish that all right, we're gonna date ourselves for just a minute here.
I already did.
Um, but I just wish that the younger generations would utilize the internet for a constructive and educational purpose as opposed to making stupid TikTok challenges every 5 seconds, doing something inane and stupid for some internet clout. No, it's like you have all the information at your fingertips.
Mhm.
Use it.
Well, that's what I mean. If I say something and Rebecca doesn't think I'm right, like about it, like if we're having like chat like a technical question or something,
Mhm.
the
First
sum
thing,
of the world's knowledge is at your fingertips.
my favorite saying when I talk to students, did you look it up? Look it up. Look it up. The best information is at your fingertips. Look
Hmm.
it up.
Well, I remember I had I had a teacher. I can't remember when, but his expression was that as far as writing papers and so forth, he's like, you know what? You can say anything that you want, but you have to be able to back it up. And so it's like, yeah, like we can make any sort of thesis that we wanted regarding a paper or so forth. Mama said, I don't have to be smart. I just had to be pretty. The interwebs is for panda videos. um, so, like, we can make any sort of thesis statement we wanted for a paper, but but only if we could back it up with quotation and citation from the material. So it's like, yeah, if you
Yeah.
can back up your statements, then yeah, you can say whatever you want. But no, I don't know. I guess I'm being perhaps old fashioned, but I mean, if I had, the access that these kids today have to all the information, in our society, like I just think like how much further along I would be at this age.
Mhm.
Or I just think how dangerous I could have been at that. Like if I was a teenager with all of the being, because we didn't have I mean, only doctors had pagers.
Right.
I
And they,
mean, and and nobody had cell phones. Nobody had like, if you needed to call somebody, and you're out running around, you had to go to a telephone booth.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. There are no payphones anymore. Good luck
And
finding one. Well, what's funny, I was actually just today, I was watching the 1980s movie War Games with Matthew Broderick
oh
and
no.
Ali Sheedy. And yeah, he finds a payphone and he like opens it up and he like takes a pop tab from a soda and he puts it in there so that he can like, get a free phone call kind of thing. I mean, that technology that could work back then. Now they don't even have public phones anymore. So yeah, good luck with
Oh,
that.
yeah, good luck with
Um,
that. 'Cause everybody has a cell phone. I mean, it's
right.
like, you know,
Um, but Guziewski's, my thing is, in a way though, I'm kind of glad that the internet wasn't around when I was a kid because, like it's no big secret. Yes, I was bullied, horribly when I was a kid. It would have been that much worse if I also had cyberbullying on top of it. Because then you can't get away from it 24/7. At least when I was
yeah.
home, I was safe. But if it was, cell phones and them capturing footage of me like, tripping or whatever, and then that goes viral, and then it's like, yeah, before you know it, it's like, you're
Yeah, I'm glad of that whole thing too, because I got bullied as a kid, and I'm lucky there's no pictures of, you know,
hmm
any
So
footage of
in that
that.
regard, I'm grateful. On the other hand, I wish that I had the access that we now have, back then, because like I said, I think I would have been that much further along with, all of the various things that I enjoy doing, whether it's, stitch work or cooking and baking and that sort of thing. I feel like I would have, you know, been further along than I currently am. But I'm having fun, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to make up for lost time.
I mean, it-
Now, can I ask you another question? Your favorite yarn?
Hmm.
What?
That's like a loaded question.
I mean, not you don't have to pick your one favorite. What is your common use of yarn?
You don't know by now?
Well, I do, but
oh, I
there are
mean,
people here that
that may or may not have watch
or know you.
your.
Well, I mean, right now, um, if we're going based on price and accessibility, I mean, those are my big factors. I mean, granted, I love, love, love the more, high-end fibers like, alpaca or merino or stuff like that. Yeah, sure, I love
See this
those. But
website.
as far as the availability and the price point, that's like those are like treats.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Michael, yes, we all.
What does Michael say?
Yeah, Lion Brand is definitely, I mean, one of my go-to brands, Lion Brand and Red Heart, because they are affordable and they are very accessible for me. Whether I'm going to Michael's or to Walmart, they're there. I don't have to worry about, some esoteric small hand dyed brand kind of thing. It's like, no, it's a reliable thing and the price
Yeah.
is right. So if it's Lion Brand, typically it's either Pound of Love or Mandala or Ice Cream Big Scoops. It depends on the weight of or the colorway that I'm going for. And if it's Red Heart, it's like either red heart ombre or sometimes they're variegated, but I would say typically like a red heart ombre, a red heart solid, or if it's a solid, then I mean, I would say more so the Lion Brand Pound of Love. Those I use the most often, also because the yardage is there. They're really
Mhm.
good with the yardage. If it's a thinner weight in a solid color, I think it's a Burnett baby sport type yarn. It's like a weight of 3, but you can only really get those in like the baby pastel colors, which is kind of limiting. That's how Pound of Love used to be. Pound of
Mhm.
Love, it used to be just pink, blue, yellow, white, and off-white. That was pretty much it. But over time, they have incorporated a lot of new
Mhm.
colors, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy that they did, because it's like, oh, adults can enjoy it too now, you know?
Absolutely.
And like this is a sugar cookie,
And it's
and
pretty and it's soft.
it 95% of the time, yes. Sometimes it's a little bit more coarse.
Mm.
I think that they were having some sort of like manufacturer
Mhm.
funkiness going on.
Mhm.
It used to be a little bit thinner and a little bit softer, and then
Mhm.
it got like a little bit more robust and
Mhm.
a little bit stiffer, and
Mhm.
then it still had the robustness, but not quite the stiffness. So it's undergone some changes over the years, because I've been working
Mhm.
with this stuff for like 20 years,
Mhm.
and it's undergone a lot of changes over those years.
Yes.
So and it's just something that I've noticed. The same thing with Red Heart Super Saver. I would say lately it's better than what it was a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Um, and it's affordable. I especially love the fact that there's no dye lot.
Oh.
you know so the thing is that with Red Heart Super Saver, the fact that it's not super duper soft, I'm
Mhm.
willing to overlook for the fact that there's no dye lot. So if I need
Mhm.
to do a really big project, but I don't know how many skeins I'm going to need, it's perfect, because then I could just get like a couple of skeins, and then if I need more, I can get more, and I don't have to worry about it matching.
Without having to
Just
mess with the
mess with the
dialogues.
dialogue.
That's a big selling point for me. And
Mhm.
also, if it's a blanket, it's not like something that you're going to be, wearing around your neck that's going to be all scratchy. It's a blanket. You're already, more than likely, you're going to be clothed underneath a blanket. Therefore, you don't have to worry about that potential scratchiness. And it's
Mhm.
not even that scratchy. It's just not like, alpaca soft.
Yes. Do you like alpaca or wool or Malabrigo? Come on.
How
that's
high,
that's
how
I'm
high
me.
is
talking to
up?
you.
That's me.
No,
You
I'm
know,
not talking to you. I'm talking to
I mean, Malabrigo is gorgeous.
Mhm.
I mean, I have some braids of the wool that I haven't spun. I was like very much on a spinning kick, but I haven't done any spinning in ages. The
Okay.
Malabrigo is sinfully, deliciously gorgeous, and the texture is mwah, chef's kiss. Um, you know, uh, Merino. I think Merino is like probably my favorite wool.
Mhm.
Typically. Um, I mean, I've used like fisherman's wool. It
Mhm.
is scratchy.
Very scratchy.
It's itchy scratchy.
Yeah.
The
So
lion ground fisherman's wool.
Yes.
I'm just saying like fisherman's wool in
Mhm.
general. I mean, I haven't used it in such a long time that I couldn't vouch. But I love the smell of the lanolin.
Mhm.
I. Love that smell.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, yes, it smells like wet sheep, but
Mhm.
I don't know
Yeah,
what it is. I
Mhm.
love that smell,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
because
Um,
I made a hat out of the lion brand, the fisherman's wool,
mhm.
and it's awesome.
So that's one of your top fives, Malabrigo. Any
But I mean,
other
you
any
can't
other
go wrong with
high?
acrylic though.
No, acrylic doesn't. Uh, do you like cotton?
Typically, no.
Oh.
Yeah, typically no, because I mean, my experience with cotton, really, it needs to be a blend.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And,
if you're talking about if you're talking about mercerized cotton,
mm-hmm.
that's a different ball game because
Mm-hmm.
also typically I don't crochet with that. I have woven with that, and it's a really good, strong fiber. It doesn't stretch, it doesn't shrink. Let me see. Where is my book? My book is here's my book. Um, I had been doing some weaving, and with the mercerized cotton, um, I did a couple of bookmarks.
Oh, nice. I like that mixture of color.
Thank you. And so this is just regular mercerized cotton, very, very fine
Beautiful.
threads,
Hi, everyone.
Look at
as
that.
you
Look
can
at
see.
that bookmark he did.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank
Mhm.
you. And so this is something that I wove up with the cotton. But as far as using cotton for like a garment, typically no. There is, however, I think it's a Lion brand yarn.
Mhm.
Um, choosing my favorite yarn is like picking my favorite child. That's cute. Um, that's true.
Right. That
Um,
is so true.
yeah. I think it's called Cozy Cotton or Comfort Cotton or something like that. It's a Lion brand one, and it's a blend
Lion.
of cotton and acrylic, I think. That one I rather liked working with because it was very soft. It had a nice softness to it.
Mhm.
But like the sugar and cream, oh God, no.
Yeah, that stuff. Yeah.
No, no, no.
You know what that reminds me of?
What's
Back
that?
in elementary school, the brown paper towels.
Yes.
Because like you didn't have any
Exactly.
tissues in the classroom, but you had those brown paper towels. And if you had to blow
Mhm.
your nose would be destroyed,
Mhm.
because it was like sandpaper. That's
Mhm.
the paper equivalent of the sugar and cream yarn or the peaches and cream yarn. It is
Mhm.
just really, really abrasive. It's very stiff. It's very robust. It's not very
It's not
drapey.
very soft or
No, no.
pink.
And
Yeah.
to me, it's just sad. Exactly. K-Craft, you like working with it, but
Your
it's at
hands
such a
will
price.
hurt.
It's like you might as well work with jute, or hemp. I mean,
Yeah.
I have, and it is hell on the hands.
Yes, it is.
Um, it is.
It depends
So,
on how fine it is.
so
Because
typically I don't work with cotton. Bamboo is nice.
Yeah.
You know,
Bamboo is soft.
I mean, also I
Mhm.
have some here somewhere. Yes, the kobu.
Yeah, the
This is
Kobe.
really soft.
Yeah.
This is very, very soft. Now this is it's a blend, 51% cotton and then 49% rayon from bamboo. So this is super duper soft. Like I would have no qualms about working with this. For a garment or something like that because it has the softness. It's very, very flexible and drapey. But I mean, if you're talking about the more stiff type stuff, no, thank
Mhm.
you. I'm good.
Yeah.
um, but I mean, acrylic, not, of course, not all acrylics are created equal. Some are definitely more conducive to certain types of projects than others. But I love the affordability, generally speaking, and the ease of care with the acrylics.
Mhm.
I actually got her some. It's Juniper Moon Cumulus
Yeah, that's nice cotton.
um,
If you
cotton
ever,
yarn. Oh my gosh, that
it's
stuff!
it's very
Was it?
soft. Yeah.
It's a special cotton, and it's like some of the softest stuff that I've ever like touched. It's really nice.
And I've shown them already, but
Not that one, the blue one.
yeah,
Yeah,
but this is cotton also.
the blue fluffy one.
The Queensland is a nice cotton.
It's a nice groovy colorway you got there.
Yeah, it's really, you like blues?
I'm more of a green and brown type of person myself, but no, it's really pretty though.
Isn't it pretty? And this is a 100% cotton, and it's really soft. And I made one.
Oh,
This.
wow.
I made this.
Very nice.
And it wasn't hard to work on. Then I put a lace on at the end to kind of.
Is that a shawl?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a shawl. It hangs over
Very
the back.
cool.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to show in the.
No, it's fine.
Like
Yeah.
it goes.
Which one, babe? Which blue one, babe?
It's right there. It's the powder blue.
This one?
No, on
You know,
other side.
the blue one. The one that's
That-
blue.
The other blue one.
The other blue one.
Oh,
My
my
dad.
You're other
my-
right. You're other
My
right.
dad. My father was notorious for that.
What, saying you're other right?
No, he would be in the garage, like working on something, and I'd be like walking out of the garage or doing something like myself, and he would say, Matesh, get the thing. It's like, what thing, Dad? The thing for the thing.
Yeah.
He was notorious for doing that.
Well, see, I had something very similar when I worked at Blockbuster. A lot of people, they would come in with a very specific movie that they wanted, that they had in mind, but they had no idea what the title was or who was in it. So they would give me these really vague descriptions, like, the guy with the hair, the hair.
Thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, the odd thing is that I was really good at like reading their scattered thoughts. And I think the best example was this guy came in with his girlfriend and he was looking for this movie, couldn't think of the title. And he's like, well, on the cover, there's this guy and he's like this, he's like leaping. I'm like, the wrestler? He's like, yeah. He was like, because I was really good at remembering the images on the cover boxes because that's all I saw all day, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So you just sort of picked up on this stuff, and like I developed like a reputation for just knowing a lot about movies, but I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The thing for the thing, yeah, flashbacks, the thing, when people would come in and they were looking for a movie, yes, Michael says, get me the thing, that thing for the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be in the garage and my dad would try, Mateus, get the thing. Because he had that heavy Portuguese accent. Get the thing, the thing for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, Dad, what are you talking about?
Well, my thing was when people would come in and they're looking for a movie, right? And I'm like, okay, well, do you want something that's good or do you want something that's popular? That's how I would, go along with what they're, trying to get out of me. And they're like, well, I guess something that's popular. I'm like, okay, so then you want the new release wall. And they're like, well, what's good? What's good on the new release wall? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't watch anything that's on the new release wall, because I dubbed it the age of the prequel, sequel, and remake with a dash of rehash. So I didn't bother watching most of the stuff on the new release wall, because this was between the years of 1999 and 1999 and 2009. I was there for 10 years. And so there was just a lot of remakes and stuff that I was just like, all right, I'm not interested. And then I'm like, well, if you want something good, we have to go to the older section. And they're like, okay, well, what's good there? I'm like, well, do you want to laugh? Do you want to cry? Do you want to be scared? Like, I used to say, well, what genre are you interested in? And I would always get this blank look. I'm like, category. What category? And so they'd be like, oh, okay. Well, I'm like, horror, drama, comedy, kids, foreign, like what are you interested in? And so I would whittle it down from there. And I had a couple of go-tos that, I would usually do as my reliable ones. But well, yes, I love to crochet. The doohickey, the gizmo, the gadget, the thingamabobber. Yeah, it's straight out of Little Mermaid. The Whoozy Whatsits, the Dingle Hopper.
So where did you get the love for playing the vintage games that you have?
Do you mean like the card games or the board games or
the board games and the card games also?
I'm just showing them
Hold on. Oh, he wants to show you one more thing. I want to keep us on target. Go ahead.
This is that yarn that I was talking about. Whoop. Where's the?
That is pretty. It looks like denim. Makes me think of denim. That's really pretty.
Yeah,
it's Mako cotton.
Yeah, if you've never used Mako cotton, it's
so
soft. It's the
oh my gosh.
You'll never get softer cotton.
Don't think I have Mako, M-A-K-O.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's 94% cotton, 6% nylon.
I'm gonna have to look into that. Thank you.
And this one it's Juniper Farms Cumulus Dappled. Israeli Mako cotton.
Well, it sounds lovely.
Oh, this stuff is
it is. What are your colors? What color do you like?
I'm autumn and earth tones.
Okay.
That's
right.
Usually where I'm at. Look at me. I could be on an autumn tree right now.
Yeah, you could be fall.
That's my season.
You originally had red hair, right?
The last time I had red hair, I want to say maybe 19. That's really pretty.
There you go, Craig.
That's very pretty.
Okay, let's get back to what I was asking you.
No, I did. I had red hair. It's like bright blood red hair back when I was in my late teens, but that was out of a bottle. I never had red hair. I've got I have dark brown hair. I mean,
oh my goodness.
It's maybe got some reddish hints in it, especially in the beard, but that's the part Irish in me. But as far as to answer your question about the games, well, I thought it would make a nice offshoot because I do the origami and the audiobooks and the cooking because it's still sticking in with the enlighten, educate, and entertain. Excuse me. I always try to somehow have what I call the 3 E's in the videos that I do: enlighten, educate, or entertain. And the thing is that for me personally, I spend the vast majority of my time when I'm not at work at the library, I spend the vast majority of my time alone. And so I also know that there are a lot of viewers out there that they either are reclusive or they had a family but now they live alone or whatever the case may be. And I love solitaire games. I think they're a lot of fun. And just because a lot of people, they like playing Parcheesi or Monopoly or whatever, there are a lot of games out there that are either solitaire or solo play only, or they have a solo play variation of them. And so I thought it would be fun to showcase some of those. And, you know,
I think
I
you
just,
hit the money right on the head. Not only for the people who are watching you, probably, they might be watching it. Maybe somebody in their family might have liked it even more, because sometimes Matt will watch it, or I will watch one of your games, or even your readings,
Yeah.
or your poems. Um, I think you've entertained one or more of the family that is in that household.
I try, I just, and
Or in
I don't really follow like a
mine.
specific format or anything. I just
Mhm.
I try to like cycle through the different playlists and be like, all right, I haven't done an origami in a while, or I haven't done a game in a while. Like I hadn't done any cooking for a while, and then I did the refrigerator pickling, and then the onigiri, which is coming out this week.
I really
Yes,
appreciate
I know. I still plan on doing the cheesecake. I know. I'm sorry.
it. Can
I
be
haven't done it.
whatever you want to cook or whatever you want to do, as long as you're who you are and doing it and making you happy. We will watch you do it.
Well, thank you.
Mhm.
I mean,
The
I did manage to recently get some cream cheese and some sour cream, so it's just a matter of getting the time. And then, yes, I would love to do the cheesecake. I was thinking of doing it for my birthday, making a cheesecake, because they're so good. I mean, my mom's not going to do it because she doesn't want to be on camera. I've tried, and I've tried.
Yeah.
And I told her that it would go over like gangbusters, especially if she roasted me on camera, that they would love it. People would love that. But
That's
she doesn't
okay.
want to be on camera. And I respect that. I don't
Absolutely.
appreciate it, but I respect it.
Absolutely.
yeah, the one with the refrigerator pickles. Oh, dang. Especially those red onions. I love red onions.
And they're
And
so easy to make,
there's
it doesn't take long at all.
there's a style of I'm sure it's from one of someone is going to correct me if I'm mistaken. Um, that they have like tacos and stuff from certain like parts of Mexico that have these like pickled like red onions on them.
Hmm.
Ooh, and they pickle them with jalapenos, or not jalapenos, habaneros.
Okay.
And so there's like little chunks of habanero in there with the red onions. Oh
Sounds
man,
good.
that's really good.
And they don't take long to, get pickled, and you just pop them in the fridge and you're good to go. It's just really, really, really easy. And, I mean, the other day I was looking at um, perhaps doing candied citrus peel. Um, that I would have to be very, 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 very careful of, though. Oh, that's nice, Kayla. Is it Kayla or Kala? I don't like to mispronounce, but that's really cool. Good for you. Um, I would have to be very, 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 very careful if I were to do like candied citrus peels because it requires heating up sugar to like a molten point. And so that means that I would have to use my little separate convection hot plate thing because when I was making uh, marmalade on the stove, I accidentally got some of that on the glass top of the stove.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
never heard the end of it.
Oh no.
I mean, we were able to get it off. My mom's really good at getting rid of unwanted stains. She didn't get rid
Mhm.
of me, but she got rid of the stain. Um,
oh, nice.
um, and but so yeah, if ever I'm working with like molten sugar, I have to do that on like a little separate convection hot plate thingy that we have. In case if there is some spillage.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's another thing that I haven't made in ages that I keep alluding to that I want to make again soon is some orange marmalade.
Oh,
I did a
yeah, I
video for
love
that
that
eons ago.
one.
And for that, you throw the whole orange in, skin and all, and it's just so good. It's got a little bit of the bitterness, and the rest is sweet, and it's very well rounded. It's got a lot of nuance, the flavors.
Isn't there
Yummy.
a Greek one that
Yummy.
it's preserved? Because I've seen the recipe, like in recipes and stuff, they call for preserved lemon, or it's like pickled lemon, or it's like
I don't.
I haven't
it's
heard
like
of pickled. I've
lemon.
heard of like
Well,
candied
like
lemon, but never pickled.
it's not candied. It's like
Brined?
brined or preserved, or because you can get them in like a jar.
One thing that I've wanted to try further, let's see. Jeremy says my dad used to make his own hot sauce salsa. Ooh, different peppers in our pressure canner. Blew up on him. Oh no.
Oh,
I hope it wasn't in his face because I mean between the heat and then the spice, that could be
Yeah,
rather painful. Um, uh, Something I'd like to try is pickled
yeah.
plum.
Thank you, Tank. It's fermented.
Fermented. There you go.
okay.
Yeah, pickled
Well,
plums, because that's popular in onigiri as well as other, like putting it into like steamed buns, like steamed dumplings and that sort of thing. Pickled plums.
oh,
Those are salty.
Yes,
You
oh,
got the sweet and the salty.
they're
preserved
preserved.
plums. Those are one of my favorite.
Ugh, ugh.
But they're salty.
Yeah, well, my friend from work, she went to Japan for a couple of weeks and she brought us all back like a little goodie bag with, different kinds of snacks and sweets and stuff. And one of them, it was a clear candy with a pickled plum inside.
The sweet and sour.
And so you had the sweet of the candy and then you had the salty of the pickled
Mhm.
plum. Whoa. It was like you could taste the ocean. It was really salty, but it was good though. It was
Mhm.
really good. The contrast of the sweet and the salty. It was like, this is unique. It was different, but it was a kind of different that I enjoyed. And so I was thinking about perhaps experimenting with that in my cooking. Um, like I experimented with the furikake flakes, with the bonito and so forth.
Those
I
are
mean,
good. I
it
like
was
those.
interesting, but it reminded me of an aquarium a little too much. It's like it was like the Tetra flakes
Mhm.
for feeding your fish. It reminded me of that. It reminded me of fish food. Like, am I
Yeah.
a guppy? Am I a goldfish? You know, you know.
And the bonita flakes I like too.
Yeah, he likes the
Um,
bonita flakes that you can put on the rice and stuff.
mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then there's this recipe that I've also wanted to try where you use raw eggs and rice. Some hot rice, like hot. It needs to be hot rice. And then you dump in some raw eggs. And then with some chopsticks, you just mix it together really, 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 really fast. And the heat of the rice slightly cooks the egg, but not completely. So you do run the risk of salmonella, unless if you pasteurize the eggs, then you should be okay.
Mhm.
So
It's kind of basically like carbonara with rice.
mm,
Because
uh,
carbonara, you don't cook the eggs either.
yeah, because the thing is that I mean, as much as I would love to try it, on the other hand, I don't really relish the idea of getting food poisoning.
No,
But there
Yeah,
is
no, you
that's
don't
never
want
a good time.
no, no. So the thing is that there is a way that you can pasteurize your own eggs at home, like by like bringing the water up to a certain point, letting it sit at that point for however many minutes. But you don't want to like cook the egg. You just want to like heat up the exterior such that it would kill any bacteria on the egg.
On the egg.
So you have to like get the timing and the temperature just right.
Mhm.
I would like to try that also because at some point I would like to try making my own mayonnaise. And again, you have to use raw eggs.
Yes.
Um, so like I said, I'm always interested in trying new things.
The one that she makes really good is queso fresco.
Fresh cheese.
Fresh cheese. Because I'm like, queso, cheese, fresco, fresh. Okay, fresh cheese.
Mhm.
Do you ever make farmer's cheese?
Mm-mm.
No, it's also called fromage blanc, or paneer. It's
okay.
What's your formula?
It's ridiculously easy. It's very inexpensive. It's quick as all get out. About a half a gallon of milk. Heat it up on the stove. You don't want to boil it, but you want to get it to where it's like starting to like froth a little bit on the top. Then you take it off the heat. You pour in some vinegar. And then when it separates the curds in the whey, you then strain off the curds from the whey, gather it up into a cheesecloth, squeeze out the vast majority of the moisture, and then you chill that while it's wrapped up. You chill that in the fridge for about an hour, and then boom, you're done.
That's how we make
queso fresco.
It's that easy.
Isn't it delicious?
It is. It makes me think of the texture of feta, but the flavor of cottage. That's what it makes me think of, because it has like sort of like the crumbly nature of feta, but it has the simple neutrality of cottage cheese. You can add like a little bit of salt or whatever you want for flavoring, but that I've made a bunch of times. And then if you take it a step further and you take that, put it into a food processor with a little bit of the whey, and you mix that in a food processor, you essentially have cream cheese.
Cream cheese, right.
But you would want to use lemon juice instead of vinegar.
Yes, it tastes
for your
a little
acid.
bit better.
And then, also if you took the same sort of thing, not putting it in the fridge and not putting it into the blender, you could heat it up in that form. Heat it up and then continue to sort of knead and massage and stretch some of the moisture out of it as it's heating. You end up with sort of like a mozzarella cheese.
Mozzarella cheese.
And I've tried that and it did slice better. It didn't quite taste like mozzarella, but it didn't taste the same as it did when it was just farmer's cheese either. But there's a lot that you can do.
You know what it tastes like? It tastes like, what are those little nugget cheeses that you get?
Cheese curds?
Yeah, kind of like cheese curds.
But you can do like with the whey too. You can make it. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you can make ricotta. With the whey.
But it's fun playing with it, and
it is. Around the same time that I discovered that, I was like trying to make my own butter. That's not cost effective.
No.
Well, if you can sometimes you can get the half and half on sale, and right before, if they have your store has plenty of it, and then do it right away, and then you can get a nice container of butter.
I tried it once and I used heavy cream, and it was like this tiny container of heavy cream, and I ended up with after a lot of like agitation and shaking, because I put it in a mason jar and I'm just like, just shaking, and my arms were dead. I was exhausted. And I didn't even end up with the equivalent of a stick of butter. I'm like,
you can use a blender too, that. Yeah.
Now she tells me.
No, for a while we tried a lot of stuff because stuff was getting expensive.
Especially during COVID.
During COVID, we did a lot of that.
That was fun.
So if I had access to like heavy cream, like like at a discounted rate or something like that, like at a cheaper rate, then I could totally see doing that, because it was very tasty. It's just it's not cost effective. Making the paneer, it's like there's so little effort that,
Mhm.
yeah, that's fine. Making my own bread, there's again so little effort. That's
Mhm.
fine too. The butter though is just like, no.
Sometimes
Yeah.
you'll see the large gallons of half and half for a little cheaper than you get the quarter gallons.
Yeah,
So
I usually get like, I want to say it's not a half gallon. It's like the next size down, like a quart or something like that. That's
mhm,
what we
mhm,
usually end up getting
mhm.
of half and half, because that's a staple in my home. I
Yeah,
don't drink milk. No, I
seriously.
add half and half to my coffee. You know,
I either drink black. I like black coffee, but every now and then I want a little half and half in my coffee.
I
Just
like a little cream in my coffee.
little cream in my coffee, but I like
Yeah,
it black also.
and sugar.
I like it plain black. And then,
Well,
I
you're a braver woman than I am.
yes, I am.
I'm a dainty little thing over here. I don't do the raised pinky though. That I no. That I
You're
don't do.
starving, Coley. You're starving. Did we make it? So, what is your favorite thing? If you were like having to make yourself something right now, what would you be cooking?
Well, okay, there's a difference. What would I be cooking or what would I be ordering?
Or what?
Yeah, that's
Both, both. What would you be cooking, or what would you be ordering?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I mean,
Because
like
you're
if
located where?
what's that?
Where are you at? Where? What state?
New York.
Okay. Oh, you're in New York. You could eat anything you want.
Well, Long Island, New York. I like from
Yeah.
the city, I'm like over an hour away from the
Oh,
city.
you're a
Yeah.
ways from
Yeah.
the main. Mhm.
Yeah. Like I am way east of the actual city, way east. In fact, um, I want to say the better part of an hour east of me is the easternmost point of the US.
Mhm.
wow.
Because it's called Montauk, also known as the End.
Oh,
It's absolutely like the end of the East Coast.
of the East
It's
Coast.
very east.
Are
But
you by
that's
the
that's
water?
east of me. Sorry?
Are you by the water?
No, I'm smack dab in the middle. So
Oh,
fortunately, if there's like really, really, really bad hurricane type weather, we're not anywhere near a beach or a sound or anything like that. So typically we don't have to worry about that.
oh, that's
Um, but as far as like what food, well, that's a very good question. I mean, if I could, just have carte blanche, whatever I would love to have. Like if I was going out, I would say probably sushi.
oh,
I
yeah.
love me some sushi. I've tried making it and I'm rubbish at it. So I would I would like to be like, do that. Oh, sushi. Um,
So
you know,
do you like sashimi?
Sushimi's okay, but I prefer like an actual roll.
Oh, no, roll. Mhm,
Yeah, I like California rolls, love
mhm,
those.
mhm,
Even though it's, imitation crab and avocado and so forth, like I do like a good California roll. Um, um, Spicy tuna or I think it's yellowtail. That's another good
mhm.
one.
Tuna.
Um, Panda, yes, I do love potatoes too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's one of my four food groups. I love me some potatoes. But if I'm going to get all like spoiled with my bad self, I would say sushi is definitely up on the list because for me, that's like that is a treat. Um, if it's something that I'm making myself, I would say as far as the affordability and the ease and the comfort level, I would say maybe a sourdough grilled cheese
Oh, yeah.
um,
There you go.
and some ramen.
And some ramen. Yeah,
Yeah,
everybody, that's a go-to ramen, right?
yeah. Well, I have my own little way of doing it. I used to, do like the brick of ramen and the little season packet and stuff. But since then, I've gone in my own addle brain direction. You know, like you can get these bundles. It's like a sort of like a bundle of like the noodles, almost like as if they were spaghetti. They're not like curly, they're straight. But like a bundle of the noodles, about 2 cups of water, 2 teaspoons of some ramen seasoning mix that I make up myself.
Which
and
is
as that's
healthier.
well, I mean, it still has the chicken bouillon powder, but I mean, it doesn't have all the other questionable hoo-ha in there.
Yeah.
But 2 teaspoons of that. It's like 1 teaspoon per cup of water. And then as it's coming up to boil, I also throw in some chili crisp and some cut up scallions and some. I love to take half of a sheet of nori, rip that up, and throw that in as well, and also 2 eggs.
Oh yeah, you make it a full.
You make like the whole
protein.
Oh yeah, and I don't scramble them at all. I just dump them in whole, and I like to try to cook the eggs to where they are jammy, not solid, not
medium.
liquid, but a little jammy. That's what I always aim for. So it's only like just a couple of minutes as the soup is heating up, and then I'm good. To me that's like quintessential comfort food. If it's a grilled cheese, I usually do an open faced where I got my bread open, buttered on the bottom side, slice and a half of yellow American on top, get that nice and toasty and the cheese gets melty. And then I like to put on some bacon, some pickled jalapenos, pickled red onions, put that on top, close it up, boom.
You are like that spice, huh? You like
spice is nice.
You like
exactly. And
I like spice, and so, and also, I think that yes, potatoes are one of my 4 food groups. Cholesterol is another one.
Yes, indeed.
It's like if you can't hear your arteries screaming and clogging, then it's not a meal.
Absolutely.
Because mine would be, I love uni. Uni is one of my favorites. I love
Sounds
uni.
familiar. Refresh my memory.
It's sea urchin.
Okay.
That's like they usually have it in like the Japanese restaurants.
At first I thought you were referring to John Lennon's wife.
It looks like yellow. It's a yellowish kind of color.
Uni ono.
Different than ono.
Bad joke.
I know. But uni is one of my favorites.
I've never tried that. Same thing with like blowfish. I've never tried that either.
I wouldn't do the fugu. No.
And
fugu too.
The yellow.
Yellow or bluefin. Wahoo. Never heard of wahoo.
If you can find it, it's the toro. I think is what they call it. It's the stomach. It's like the stomach portion of like the bluefin. Like the and oh my gosh, that stuff is really good. That stuff is amazing.
Me, I like salmon.
But if it's that, it's going to be uni or polvo, which is a Portuguese octopus stew, which is amazing. Or cipino.
What's that?
Cipino is like a fisherman's seafood stew.
Okay.
Kind of thing. It's crab and clam,
salmon and trout, huh?
When my dad would make it, everybody has like a little bit of a different recipe for it. Some people put whitefish in it, some people put salmon in it, but the one that he would make, it was always just with like shellfish. So it'd be like shrimp, clams, crab, and sometimes he put in like shrimp, or not shrimp, but shrimp. But
Maybe scallops?
And no, not so much scallops, but like what am I thinking of? Oh,
I don't know.
squid, like calamari. And it's like in a red sauce, like a light red sauce.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would be dinner would for when he would make that was like 2 hours.
Hmm.
Wow.
Like
Well, see,
we'd
that's
have
the
like
nice thing about the grilled
bread.
cheese and the ramen is that start to finish, it only takes like maybe 15 minutes tops.
Oh no, I'm not saying 2 hours to make it. That's 2 hours to eat dinner.
Oh, wow.
Like, cause you crack some stuff and you talk, and then you get some bread and you have a little wine and you like, it's a whole thing.
It's a tradition.
Well, it sounds nice.
Mhm.
It's yeah. And for Panda, gotta have the tostones too.
Tostones, arroz
Which
con
is,
tostones,
The tostones is
a Puerto Rican food,
yeah, because she cooks Puerto Rican food,
and
and it's amazing.
it's food from the island, and it's like plantains that are sliced and they're pounded and then they're deep fried, crispy,
mm,
and then chicken and rice, but it's cooked. He says, and it's arroz con
Arroz con pollo.
pollo, and it's an island recipe where chicken and rice, but it has seasonings and herbs. Um,
And capers and olives
yeah, olives and
sometimes,
capers
and
and chicken, and then it has some of the seasonings from the island also, which is sazon.
is that like
Panda knows
Vidal Sassoon?
Yeah, sazon, and then
Vidal
also
Sassoon.
and Amelia mofongo, mofongo.
That
Uh,
sounds dirty.
yeah,
yeah,
mofongo
it does, but it tastes
is
good.
mofongo is
Plantain.
plantain also. It is plantain is not it's not sweet. It's a banana, but it's used like a kind of
Instead of like
like
a
a
potato.
potato, and it's uh, cooked and then deep fried and smashed,
Mm.
and then it's put in a container, and then it's filled with, could be filled with pork, or it could be filled with shrimps, fried, steamed or fried shrimps, or cracklings, with pork cracklings, or and
It's
then,
good stuff.
oh my God, people's just like their mouths just like hang out when they, and then it's so it's all cooked nice and hot, and when you go and you smell it, and it's like people just don't know what to do. They just want to have it, and they flip it over, and it's just amazing.
Panda,
Those
we eat them.
phthalates.
We eat them, but we don't make them.
Um,
Well,
is
Pasteles
that
are
like
because it's
awesome.
dangerous to be
phthalates? Is that like
eating it that old.
pastries?
What's that?
No, it's like the
Pasteles.
the best description, which pretty much everybody kind of gets, is it's like a Puerto Rican tamale.
Okay.
But instead of corn, it's plantain or yuca uh, on the husk, on the outside, with the green plantain
With the
covering
leaves.
leaves. And then the pork and the
And then
olives
olives
and
and stuff
things
on the
with it.
inside. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
as far as anything like with Hispanic cooking, it's like the closest I got was making my own tortillas and not gorditas.
Um,
the other ones where it's sort of like an enclosed.
Yeah.
Oh, and you split them and you put the stuff inside of them?
No, that's more like a gordita. No, it's where you have your masa, your masa dough, and you create a divot, and then you put in your filling, and then you cover that, and you form it into like a patty.
Pupusas.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I've done pupusas. Not very good, but I've done pupusas.
Oh, that's just practice. That's all it is.
I have done pupusas, and I did them filled with ground beef, and I've also done them with refried beans, and I thought that they weren't bad,
Yeah.
But I've done them. I wouldn't say I'm good, but I've done them.
It's all about the thinness of the papusa, and
Yeah.
that's it. And then
Oh, no.
just cooking them slowly.
Here's a story for you. When we first started seeing each other, she invited me over for the first time. She invited me over to the house or her house for dinner. And so I came in the house and I could smell like, oh, it smells so good. And she was standing there and she had an apron on and had flour on her apron. And she's like, come on in. I'm making tortillas. And she made homemade tortillas, chili verde, homemade beans, and Spanish rice.
And then, right then and there, you got down on one knee.
Right then and there, I was like, oh. I'm just gonna flop a little bit, but you got me.
Well, you knew what was good for you.
I was like, woo. Yeah,
Mhm.
she's a very good cook. She can throw down.
He can cook also. He's a good cook too.
Yeah, I cook Filipino food, Portuguese food, Italian food. So those are my specialties.
Mhm.
I think my strength is more of like a bready pastry kind of venue. Like I'm better. I think I'm better at those things. Less on the cooking, more on the baking. Because like with baking, you don't need quite so much finesse. Like with the timing of certain things, like you stick it in the oven, you set the timer, and you're good. With
Well,
cooking, it's like no, you have to like multitask as things are going, and you have to like flip this, turn this down, bring this up, flip that over there, frick seed, and I don't do well with timing or stress. But like with baking, it's like you stick it in the magic box, you hit a button, it comes out, you're good.
Baking is scientific.
See, I can make like pizza dough.
Okay.
And
there's nothing wrong with that.
That's about as far as baking goes. I couldn't. No.
Well, I would say baking is to break it down. It's like baking is more scientific, whereas cooking is more creative. You have to follow certain laws and rules in cooking, but then you can like be like, oh, I'm going to add a splash and a dash and a or whatever, and you can. It's more like you have like a palette that you get to play around with. Whereas with baking, it's like no, baking soda and baking powder are not the same thing.
They're not the same thing.
You'll have a very different reaction.
Yes.
It's more scientific, but it's like if you can follow a recipe in baking, you should be able to get there. Cooking, it's like, oh no, you need finesse, and I lack.
I mean, my grandmother, there was, I mean, she had recipes for like this, that, and the other thing, but as far as like when she would cook, or when my aunties would cook, it was like a pinch of this. Throw this in over your shoulder, put this over here, put this little smidge of this in.
Panda, that's not nice. Panda.
What does it say?
I'm moving in with Rebecca and Matt, so you have a 2-week notice.
It's not nice. I mean, it's complimentary to Matt and Rebecca, but and
That's okay. Mike can come too. What the heck?
Mhm.
and you don't know how good you have it, and Michael, you don't know how good you have it. Please, you know.
I remember when I was young. I was only like 10 years old. My mom had a a
Look what Mike said.
okay, Panda, but I get the yarn in the divorce.
That's quite a prenup.
Woo-hoo-hoo. My mom had a cooking encyclopedia, and we would look at that cooking encyclopedia. Whatever it is we had in the house, we had to go look at that cooking encyclopedia and see what we could make, you know. Um, and that cooking encyclopedia had everything from, whatever part of meat we had, we could find it in that encyclopedia. And it was a book that my uncle had from one of the chefs that used to cook in a big ship. And so it had everything from brains to, calf liver to, whatever it was, the meal of the day.
Well, you're making me think
And
of Indiana
I didn't
Jones
think-
and the Temple of Doom. Chilled monkey brains.
That's it. That's
Snake surprise. What's the surprise? Eyeball soup.
Yeah,
Yes.
but it also had the desserts, also all the different desserts and all the different. So we had that book, and I have it somewhere still. It was falling apart, but I still have it.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad got me one time. My aunt had come over from Portugal, and what she was doing was she was going to each one's house, and she would cook like this humongous meal. And so we had went to my cousin's house, and my aunt was cooking, and I was eating. It was beef stew, right? And
It wasn't beef.
I'm just shoveling the stuff down. Oh my God, it was good. And my dad's standing there. He's got this big grin on his face. And he's like, "You like that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, this is great. This is really good." And he's like, "That's beef tongue, right?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Lengua.
Oh man, it was good.
How many?
It was like in this gravy
cabeza too. Cabeza's delicious,
with
isn't it?
potatoes and
Mhm.
like it was like a beef stew, but it was cow tongue. And oh my gosh, it was good.
Now try buying cow tongue now these days. You're going to pay almost twice as much for cow tongue than you do for a big pot roast or roast beef. Costs almost twice as much.
I know.
That's the irony about how tastes change over time and how like what's out in one era is in another era. Like something that I didn't know until all of my research.
I'm moving back home, he said. Sorry, Matt.
Regarding sourdough, I was doing a ton of research on that, and apparently, like right now, it's kind of like the she frou kind of bread. It's an artisan thing, but way back a couple hundred years ago, it was actually considered like a poor man's bread. And it was undesirable because if you were in, no pun intended, if you were in the upper crust, you would get your yeast from the local brewer. And you would be able to do your fermentation of bread through the yeast that was used from the brewery. But if you were of the lower class, you had to procure your own yeast, which meant having to make sourdough because it was self-perpetuating. You could just feed it and it would keep growing its own sourdough starter. So back in the day, sourdough, it was like, oh, you're poor. Now it's like, ooh, you're an artisan. You have like this shishi frou frou bread. So it's funny, how it's like the tables have turned over the centuries.
Absolutely.
And Emilia, I made oxtails last night.
Yeah, he made it in a soup, oxtail soup. Now, yeah, too bad that Panda didn't want to stick around, because we were going to have some cookies and some pasteles. I mean, pastries with cream cheese, and
Oh, the empanadas
the empanadas with
with
cream cheese,
the cream cheese and the guava paste.
the guava paste.
Something I haven't done in quite a
So
while,
sad, Panda.
that I really want to make again. They're called, oh, what are they called? Oh, galettes. Have you ever tried making galettes?
What's that?
Galettes.
Galettes.
Galettes?
A galette is sort of like a free-form pie. I believe it's French, if I'm not mistaken. So
Ooh.
on a flat surface, you roll out your pie dough, and then you put your filling in the middle, and then the exterior edge of the pie crust, you fold it over, enveloping it with like a with like a little open spot at the top, and so it's a free form pie. And it's very rustic and it's very organic looking. And so I had made those a couple of times. So I was making my own pie crust for a while.
Yeah.
It's like tons of butter. My God, tons and tons of butter. But I would also make my own little hand pies, and then I experimented with different fillings, like sort of like a chicken pot pie type filling, or like a cheese and meat and veggie filling kind of thing. I was experimenting with that for a while. Hand pies are really cool. Galettes are really cool, especially because with a galette, it's not meant to look like a Betty Crocker, cover art. No, it's meant to look rustic, and organic. So it's almost like you can't screw it up, which is perfect for me. But yeah, I experimented quite a bit. In fact, I even got pie weights, but I never actually ended up using them because I got hooked on other things after that. But I have them. I just haven't used them.
You can use beans, you know that.
Yeah. But I wanted to be snooty, and I wanted to get I like kitchen gadgets,
You want to be snooty?
Just a little, just a little, It's like, that's why I have like, I don't use like a spoon. No, I have a bread whisk, it's like a dough whisk, it's like, it's like, it looks like something out of Star Trek. It's like this coiled weirdness on the end of a handle, I like,
it's all about the tools.
I like gadgets, and thank you, Panda. I like making those videos.
We love watching you cook.
Me and my little skeleton apron.
Well,
somebody sent me that.
There was this video. It was actually an Apple commercial, and the guy's in the kitchen. He's like making, I don't know what, but he's making like a sauce, and he throws like the onion up in the air and like chops it, and like he's doing like throwing the flour like over his shoulder, and like all this crazy stuff. And the kitchen is a mess, and that's who she thinks. That's who reminds her of me.
Well, I've always been partial to the Swedish Chef myself.
Which one?
The Swedish Chef?
The Swedish Chef?
The Muppet. Spirgy Burgy. Spirgy Burgy Durgum. Spirgy Burgy. Spirgy.
You don't know the Swedish Chef?
He's the Muppet dude.
It's Sesame Street. The Swedish Chef guy.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. And the thing is that I will never stop delighting in this. The reason why he was always so discombobulated is because Frank Oz and Jim Henson both controlled him
Oh, yes.
at the same time. One controlled the hands, the other one controlled the head and the body. So they were always discombobulated, and they were always trying to mess each other up on purpose so that he would seem scatterbrained. So that's why he was always all over the place.
Oh, memories.
And so I thought it was brilliant, as far as physical comedy with a Muppet being controlled by two people. I thought it was just chef's kiss, just absolutely awesome. Love the Muppets. What's not to love?
Oh no,
but
I was especially the Count. Why are you throwing my stuff on
I
the
know
ground?
I did.
What did you just throw on the ground?
It was just a little something.
It's just a little something.
better than a big something.
Yeah. You know, we were talking about the coloring and stuff, which is you're right. It's very underrated. And I took some time because I was actually not feeling so swift over the weekend. So I put down my needle and I did this.
Oh wow. That's very nice. What kind of pencils do you use?
Oil-based pencils.
Ooh, look at you.
Yeah. Tell them who enabled you.
Wow. Never used those. But ones that I have
These
that
are
I
like the color in these is just awesome. And these it goes on really, really nice.
have you ever tried Prismacolor?
And the other set that she threw on the ground is the other.
No, oh.
Don't throw her under the bus.
No, she threw my coloring pencils on the ground.
No, so they're fine.
That's why they're in a metal case. These were very cool also.
Oh. Did you ever try Prismacolors?
I've seen them. Like, I've seen them, but I haven't tried them.
Those I've been using on and off, more off than on, because I'm more about the yarn. But those I've been using on and off since I was in like the 7th grade or 8th grade. Those are really good. They are not cheap, but they are really, really good.
No,
Prismacolors.
These weren't cheap, but they're really, really nice.
Yeah, like if you ever go to Michael's, it's like, no, you want a coupon. Trust me. And so there's a couple of different sort of qualities and grades of them. I would suggest if you're doing like adult coloring type stuff, there's two kinds. One's more of like a hard lead, another one's a softer lead. I would go with the softer because it's easier to shade and blend. Whereas the other one, it's more for like technical drawing.
Yeah. And these have the softer.
Yeah, you want to go with a softer one if you want to go for like any sort of blending capacity.
Yeah. Boricua forever.
You two are so cute.
Yeah, and it's funny because we've been together 15 years.
Oh.
And on one hand, I can pick the times that we've actually like argued.
Yeah.
We don't
do. We'll say a few words.
There's been some discussions.
Yeah.
It's like, Matt, you've learned how to duck flying knives over the years, right?
No.
Well, I mean, I know if she switches to Spanish, it's game over.
We don't go to bed, Matt.
Well, but that's how it is. It's like if somebody ever uses your first, middle, and last name, you're screwed.
Yeah. If I say Matthew,
she's like Matt. And I'm like, oh,
Well, if
Holmes,
she ever, oh, well,
I've
if
done
she ever
something bad.
says your
I've
full
done
name,
something bad.
if she ever says your full name in Spanish, then you know you are effed.
Well, it's like you, but see, it's like my dad when he switched from English to Portuguese. It was over. It was you were done with.
You know, best to get your affairs in order. Your last will is all set to go, and you know, all arrangements have been made
You know,
for your.
if it stayed in English, it was fine. But as soon as it started going into the porch, oh, it was done. It was over.
You know, because then it was, you know, Mach 10 at the speed level. I'm sure it's, you know, it's like,
Yes,
yeah.
and loud.
With me, it was always like, you know, I'm gonna get the wooden spoon, you know, and then you knew,
That was
like,
my
you,
mom. That
you
was
know,
my mom with the wooden spoon.
well, but it was always the psychological threat of the wooden spoon. We never got the wooden spoon, but it was always the psychology.
Oh, there was a few times I got the wooden spoon.
And the psychology was enough for me to be like, you know, so yeah, it was the psychological warfare, you know. Um, but I think we should wrap it up in a bit if you don't mind,
I
because it was getting kind of
Oh
late.
no,
But
I was looking
the,
at the time, and I know you have to.
We
yeah,
both
that,
have to, and we both have to go to work also.
I do
Really?
apologize. I don't like to
Do you
cut
have
it
to go to
short,
work?
I have to take care of
um,
my grandson too.
but yeah, it's because of the other
Yeah,
personages.
yeah.
I try to
So
be respectful.
thank you everyone for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. Was a blast.
And
As
thank you for
always,
having me.
it's wonderful to have Craig with us. He's always amazing. As knowledge, and he's just we have a really good time. He's a hoot.
Well, thank you. I had fun
His sense of humor is just awesome,
and questionable.
but still funny.
It's
No,
a unique
it's not
blend of
funny until
herbs and
somebody gets an eye
spices.
poke out.
I'm
But
gonna
yeah, I would like to again sometime.
Yeah, yeah, that would be that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So for tonight, we're gonna call it. Thank you to everybody for coming in. We had a blast. I hope you guys had as much fun as we did. Because like I said, it's always wonderful talking to Craig. He's amazing. So on that note, we'll see you on we'll have our live. We're having another live on Thursday. So we'll see you guys then. And I know you're doing lives intermittently
Hmm.
and releasing some tutorials in between. So
Yep.
we'll be out looking for those. I did see the one that you dropped. Was it today? Yesterday. For
Yesterday.
the hat. And I think I'm gonna try that out.
Well, it's a 4-round repeat, so you know it's totally doable. If you can do a front post and a back post double crochet, you got it.
So, and like I said, I'm not gonna do the Portuguese goodbye. So take care, everyone. We'll see you guys on the YouTube streets.
thank you so much.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Fiber Spider, thank you.
Thank you.